Every conversation can and will elevate you. It's where real talk meets real growth. After
You can always get another job, but you have one body for your whole life. You can't get another body. And that's when it struck me, and I'm 59 now. I weigh the most of my life. What the heck are you doing? Your priorities are all screwed up. If you want to live a long life and have a good quality of life, you got to invest now,
Yes.
and it's never too late to start. If you're waiting for a bus and the bus stops, doors open, you have two choices. You can get on the bus and hope the driver takes you where you want to go, but you're not in control of that, right? The other option is you go to the front of the bus, you drive the bus, and you know exactly where you're going to go. How do you want to live your life? One is reactive and one is proactive. If you sit in the back in your life and let others make all the decisions, your life at best is a compromise. You're reacting to decisions made by other people. So your life is not optimal, really. The way your life would be optimal would be you go to the front of the bus, you be the leader, you know what the future is going to be. If you know what the future is going to be, you can optimize your personal life, your family's life, family's decisions, everything, because you know what's going to happen in 6 months and a year and 2 years and 3 years and 5 years, because you're part of the decision process.
Welcome back to Level Up. Some people talk about lifelong learning. John McDonald lived it, starting with a pencil, soldering, iron in sixth grade, building a career at the intersection of engineering and leadership, publishing more than 150 technical papers and articles and 5 books, and then at 59 deciding to rebuild his health and start winning 5K races. Today is about the moment that shaped a life and the habits that shaped a legacy. Welcome to the show, John.
Thank you very much, Hakim. It's great to see you again. Thank you.
I'm really excited to unpack a lot of stories, a lot of experiences. I want to go back to the early beginning. I know it's not a normal habit to have, but soldering a pencil is something I never heard before, to be honest. So I really want to touch base about this. What was in your mind this age?
I don't know. I really don't know. I just think back to, around like sixth grade, you said 10, 11 years old, and asked my mom and dad to get me Radio Shack booklets on electricity. They bought me those, and I studied electricity just on my own in, sixth grade, in addition to schoolwork. But for birthday and Christmas, gifts, all that I wanted were electronic kits that you put together yourself. And I don't know how many 10, 11-year-olds were doing this, because they're typically for older, right? Older people,
Yeah.
adults. So at that time, I had a pencil. My parents bought me a pencil soldering, not a gun, but an iron, soldering iron, and taught myself how to solder. I think some of the first things I made were a pair of walkie-talkies.
Whoa.
I built those. A code oscillator. It was in Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts. I'm an Eagle Scout. So one of the first class badge requirements is Morse code. And so I was very good at Morse code. So I built a code oscillator and I could communicate with people with Morse code. I built a shortwave radio. I fixed the TV that my brother and I used in our bedroom. The picture tube went out, and my mom took me to a store where I got a recycled picture tube, and I took the TV apart and put the new picture tube in, including the high voltage connection, and
Wow.
fixed the TV. So these are things that I was just interested in. Never thought twice about it, but I was destined to be an electrical engineer from
I think
from
so. I think so.
from sixth
Hearing
grade.
Yeah, hearing this at sixth grade, okay, who does that? But if you look back at this age, what did electricity represent to you? Because it's normally not the case for any kid in this age, but it obviously represented something. But
I think I don't know what triggered it, I wish I could remember. I do remember in junior high school, middle school, or high school, all the TVs at that time were tubes. They used the tubes. And not only my family, but all of our neighbors wasn't working. They would call my parents. My parents would have me go over and I would take their TV apart, take all the tubes out, take them to the drugstore. And all the drugstores then had tube testers. And I would test the tubes. Usually there was one or two bad tubes, and I'd buy new ones at the drugstore, take them to this family's home, and I'd fix their TV, you know?
Wow, this
Uh,
is
I did that on a regular basis. So it was I love helping people. It
mhm.
just gives me a really good feeling. I always have. And that was really nice to use what what I learned and what I really enjoyed doing to help other people. So I really
Very interesting.
I remember doing that.
And
Yeah.
was this like a curiosity, or was it you loved problem solving? Because it's two skills that normally at this age you don't get. Like you get it after years of learning and experience. But obviously you had this already from long age, which is absolutely inspiring.
So in high school, there was electricity class, and it was typically taken by students who did not want to go to college. They wanted to be like an electrician. It was more of a trades, vocational, not college prep. Three of us took the class that later went to college and studied electrical engineering. And the teacher, the high school teacher, was really good at electricity, and he was really excited to have, in addition to the other kids, three. Have me in class who've been studying since sixth grade electricity, and I'll never forget. This was in high school. I think it was fourth year in high school. We built an AM/FM super heterodyne radio from every single component, soldered it in the circuit board, and our final exam was drawing the complete circuit of that radio and describing what every component on the circuit board did. What was the purpose of this resistor, this capacitor? And we loved it. We loved it. So I went to Purdue, studied electrical engineering. One of my friends went to Rose-Hulman in Indiana. So we were both in Indiana. He studied electrical engineering, and I forget where the third one went, but we were kind of unique. We were in this electricity
Yeah.
class. Most of kids who really wanted to be electricians and trades, the three of us went on to study electrical engineering in college.
Yeah, obviously that was a passion on a very early age to electricity. And I think also what is really interesting that you kind of self-taught yourself a lot of things from young age, building like a very complex things from young age. Definitely it is inspiring. And of course, I think that was the trigger. If I look at your story, it was already okay. This is your direction. This is where I want to go. But I know we spoke a little bit also before about the moment that really shaped your, let's say, the career. And you told me at Purdue, of course, there was the professor that called you one day. But I want to hear from you. I want to hear the story from you.
But I was, I've always been one that really challenged myself with things, and so in high school, honors physics, honors chemistry, calculus in high school. So I tested out of a full semester, over a full semester of classes. So I started at Purdue Electrical Engineering as a second semester freshman. I was in the honors program, and I think being in the honors but there were a lot of students in the honors program, but there was something that caught the eye of a professor with me. And, I think it was my second semester. He invited me to his office. And it was Professor Ahmed El Abiad, Ahmed El Abiad. And I didn't know, I was new. I mean, at that time, you're not taking any double E courses or many because you're taking physics, chemistry, there was differential equations, all the fundamentals. But he invited me to his, I wish today I knew why he chose me. But anyway, he invited me to his office. He was very forceful, very dynamic personality from Egypt, right, from Cairo. Very, very dynamic. And it was almost like he shouted when he talked, He said,
We
Jean,
shout, we shout.
shouted, yeah, you're Jean, He said, you will be a power engineer. And when you're that young, specializing in electrical engineering, you haven't even thought about that. I mean, you haven't really taken many double E classes yet. He says, you will be a power engineer. He says, you're in the honors program. I'm going to restructure your curriculum to take all the power courses Purdue has. He said, you're going to start graduate school in your third year and take grad and undergrad course at the same time. You're going to get a bachelor's and master's in 5 years instead of 6 and do a full thesis. And then he said, a power engineer is electrical, mechanical, and nuclear. You're going to take a fourth-year mechanical engineering course on power plants and a graduate course on designing nuclear reactors without any background in nuclear engineering. And that basically, not basically, totally, my career was told to me in that meeting.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I didn't, I mean, I just looked up at him. I was sitting at a table and I said, okay, 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 okay. And, that's why, I've been in the power field now over 52 years. Active, and he told me you will join IEEE, which I did 55 years ago. I
Huh.
was inducted in the Electrical Engineering Honor Society, which was 55 years ago. But everything was based on that one meeting in his office.
Wow.
And then, we talked about later on. I find this guy is world renowned. He had just published in 1968, co-wrote a first book called Computer Methods and Power System Analysis, the first book in the world on how to use a digital computer to model a power system. 68, 69, I started at Purdue. 1970, I'm in his office in this meeting. This guy, everybody in the world was using his book now at universities on modeling a power system for analysis by a digital computer. It was the first book that had flowcharts in it where we could sit down with a book and write Fortran programs to do load flow analyses with using Y-bus, bus admittance matrix, Z-bus, short circuit programs, things like that. It was all in this book.
This is, yeah, it's really inspiring story, and it's definitely not a coincidence. It was meant to be like your destiny as well, to meet him and to kind of shape up your career along a long way before even or before even you started. But it obviously was a defining moment for you. And I'm interested, have you changed anything after this meeting in your daily habits, routines, or was it just a natural structure for your life?
No, I never, I just, he was very forceful and dynamics. I'm a young student, right? And, there was no way I would say no. I mean, I just it wasn't, he wouldn't have accepted it anyway, but, I would have been scared. I would have been scared to say no, but, I literally walked out of the office and I said, "Okay, this is what I'm gonna do." I didn't take issue with it. And you know something? I'm the type of person that no matter what you give me, I'm gonna figure out how to do it.
Nice.
I had just pledged a fraternity, so, I was going through pledgeship. There's a lot of hours. I'm living in a dorm, was spending a lot of time at the fraternity house doing pledge duties, taking pledge tests and things like that. But I never said I don't have time to do it. We've talked about you don't live your life by excuses. Excuses are a cop out. It's not that you didn't have time to do it. It wasn't important enough for you to find the time to do it. So I've always said, if something is important to me, I'll find the time to do it. So even the next 3 years, I'm living in a fraternity house with officer positions, a very active social schedule, a very challenging electrical engineering curriculum. I'm taking graduate courses at the same time as undergraduate courses. I'm in a fourth-year mechanical engineering course on power plants. Everyone in there is a mechanical engineer with 3 semesters of thermodynamics. I'm a double E with 1 crash course in thermo, trying to compete with these mechanical engineers. It was unbelievably challenging. I mean, I
Of
don't know.
course.
I don't know if any young person would agree to do all this today.
I definitely don't think I know anyone who can do this today, to be honest. Well, yeah, it's really it's inspiring because it shows, like you said, you will find a time to do whatever you are facing, and this is really a habit that it comes over years and years of practice, and but you had it from early age, which is absolutely inspiring and really also inspire a lot of people like myself, and also I'm sure a lot of people also listening. And I think it comes back all to that this defining moment that somebody recognized a talent in you, somebody recognized sort of a superpower and then highlighted it to you. And that also really affected your life. So My next question is how do you recognize talents in others? Do you? I'm sure you did all over this career, working for so many organizations and so many continent, regions, countries, of course. And how do you recognize it, and what actually you do as a leader?
Hakim, because I'm really he helped me so much, Professor El Abiad, that and the Electrical Engineering Honor Society that inducted me in my second year. And the second year is the highest GPA requirement to be inducted. So I qualified in my second year. That gave me so much confidence that I was doing something right. To have
Yeah.
this Eta Kappa Nu say you qualify, we want to induct you. What's been important to me from that day on is to give back, to pay it forward, right? Give back. And so, in 55 years in IEEE, plus all the 6 companies I work for full time, I'm always looking for um, those hidden talents. You know, I had a professor that invited me to his office and basically unleashed, right? He empowered me to do good things, And what if that meeting had never happened? You
Yeah.
know, what would I've thought about what would I be doing today? Would I even be in power? So both at work, but particularly in volunteer organizations like IEEE, I've had many, many leadership positions in volunteer organizations. Hakeem, think about many engineers. The reason we go into engineering is we're very smart, but we're very shy. We're very introverted. Our comfort level is not being with a lot of people,
Yeah.
being with our textbooks with a lot of homework to do, computer programs to write. Basically, um, if I'm with at the time, if I was with one person, that's okay. If I'm with 5 people, it was very uncomfortable. And if it was 10 or 15 people, really uncomfortable. So when I lead a group of volunteers, young students and young professionals, I've been very good at, I call them diamonds in the rough, identifying people that at a meeting, they wouldn't volunteer for something.
Mm.
As you go through the agenda of a meeting, they'll sit there, be very attentive, but because they're shy, because they're lacking the courage, the self-confidence. But I have a gut feeling myself in many cases with a particular person. I say, this person would really do a good job. I very tactfully and in a nurturing way ask that person if they would agree to take on some leadership position. And I said, look, I will help you every step of the way. You won't be by
Nice.
yourself, and maybe we'll get a team of people to help you. You'll lead a team. With my support, nurturing. They'll always say yes. They'll try it. I'll do everything I can to help them. And what's amazing is I got a long list of people who've gone on from that point and then volunteered for increasing responsibility positions. They blossom and they become global leaders. IEEE
Amazing.
from being in a meeting when they were younger, afraid to speak up, but just sensing that there was potential there. So I call them diamonds in the rough. We just need to polish those diamonds and they'll
Yeah.
blossom. So
Wow.
you brought up a good point about that, and there's so many people like that we need
Yes.
to empower and give them an opportunity to do well, to flourish.
Yes, absolutely. And this is huge for people listening and leaders listening because, like you said, a single conversation can rewrote life for a person, definitely. And that confident and empowerment give the motivation for a lot of people to actually achieve what they want to achieve and also take the courage, to do something because, like you said, you could be in a company or organization or in a meeting and you just need to hear something that you can do it and then it start from here. I want to jump a little bit more into your career. Very inspiring looking at your of course journey and the business side, the decisions, the MBA at night. I'm going to come to this after graduation and your first full-time engineering role in San Francisco. If I'm right, you went to UC Berkeley at night to earn MBA, specializing in finance, way different, to learn the business side of technology. That discipline, why was it so important for you to understand business? Because you already sort of have a direction, clear direction, engineering, electricity, but still you wanted more. You wanted to learn the business side, you wanted to learn the finance, and you took a night shift. You have already a lot. You still took a night shift to learn finance. So what was that, and what did you want to achieve at this moment?
But I was really fortunate to have an a consulting company, and I grew up in the Chicago suburbs, and a consulting company in downtown Chicago. A family friend from church in the Chicago suburbs was a partner in the company in mechanical engineering. And my mom actually asked him at church one day if it'd be possible if I could work there this summer after my first year at Purdue. I was electrical, and he said, let me talk to the electrical engineering partner and I'll get back with you. And the electrical engineering partner said, sure, what an opportunity for me through a family friend. And so my first summer after my first year at Purdue, I worked doing consulting engineering work in Chicago. And this was in 1970, summer of 1970. And we're doing wastewater treatment plants, water treatment plants. And I'm responsible for all the power distribution, all the motor controls, all the schematics, coordinating with mechanicals, the other disciplines. And at that time, there was no computer-aided drafting. So we had a parallel T-squares, and I'm drawing by drafting every floor of every building at the plant,
Wow.
laying out the lighting, circuiting, the electrical circuiting, the motor control centers, the electrical panels, everything. And what an experience. And this is after my first year. And then
Yeah.
there was another student there from Purdue who was on the co-op program. And so I didn't know this, but we got to be close friends. We're both at Purdue and we both grew up in Chicago. And he and I we were cranking out the work. And the company basically said, we have so much work to do. If you guys want to work in the evening, and we'll pay you overtime. And we'd work from morning, afternoon, and evening because
Wow.
we wanted money that we could spend at school when we went back to school.
Yeah.
And we love the work. But here, Hakeem, this is what I saw though, because I worked summers, and then after my second year, third year, and then they told us, John, when you're home a week during spring break, come and work. When you're home Christmas, New Year's, come and work. Because we were really productive. We cranked out the work. So I spent a lot of time there working, but I saw engineers, the full-time engineers, having good ideas for projects, presenting those good ideas to senior executives at this company, and in many cases, not getting them approved. Not getting, and they'd come back to their desk and they'd be talking to me. I didn't get this approved, so I would ask questions and probe, trying to learn. Okay, what was it? And you know what it was? In every case, these were engineers presenting a technical project in a very deep technical way to a senior executive at the company who hasn't done technical work for years, right? And their orientation is business. And it was very obvious to me that these engineers had no idea how to take a technical project, present it in a business way. It's not the senior executive wanted to know what do you anticipate to be the benefits of your project? How many years before the benefit curve crosses the cost curve? In other words, what's the payback period? What's if the benefit cost ratio is good, like 5-1, but the payback period is 20 years, it's not a good investment. The payback period is too
Yeah.
long. If the benefit cost ratio is good and the payback period is 3 to 5 years, that's a good investment. So, and then there's all other business type aspects to a technical project. And that really drilled into me that if I want to be successful in my career, I really needed to understand the business side of
Business side.
engineer of technology. And I was,
Really interesting.
so when I finished the oral defense of our master's thesis, we were lucky with this visionary professor that we developed the very first 3-phase unbalanced load flow in the world. No one had ever been able to get it to work. And because, with this book in 1968, we were just embarking on modeling the power system on a three-phase balanced basis and trying to write Fortran programs for the first time with bus admittance matrix, Z-bus, Y-bus, and all the Newton-Raphson mathematics, and all the modeling was assuming a three-phase balanced grid. But our visionary Professor Professor El Abiad said, let's develop three-phase models for generators, transformers, loads, and let's attack this. Let's model the grid on a three-phase unbalanced basis, which had never been done before. And so three of us did that, and we got it to work. We graduated. Took us a year and a half. 2.5 boxes of punched computer cards was the thesis program. But he really, my Professor Al Abad really wanted me to stay and get a PhD because there was so much more we could do with that topic. But I said, no, there's two things I want to do. One is I want to start working and I want to apply. I love theory and I can do well with theory. My goal, I want to apply the theory in the real world, design products and systems that help people. I'm really oriented that way. And I said, the other thing is I want to get an MBA in finance. And I really want to understand the finance side of all this engineering stuff. And,
Wow.
and so those are my two goals after my master's degree. That's what I want to do.
Absolutely inspiring and impressive. That also, again, you faced a challenge which comes to the business part of engineering, and you didn't depend on anyone. You even did it yourself, and you taught yourself again, which is absolutely inspiring. I want to move to something I think close to your heart, and also I want to learn more about it. Is your role in IEEE? And congratulations, by the way. Recently, I think just last week or 2 weeks ago, you become the president. So amazing milestone. And you've been active since very long time and other industries, organizations. And you have said that participation taught you more about technology, created an extensive network, and give leadership experience. You have also held significant leadership roles across the ecosystem. So what is the right way for somebody starting in that field or that NGO or any other community that should do, and how can they participate or build something like this?
I've always felt that I'm not the type of person to just join an organization just to join. I want to join and have a leadership position because, like we talked about, the more you put into something, the more you get out of it. So
You get out.
if you go to a meeting, sit in the back of the room, other people are leading, other people are asking questions, you'll learn a little bit, but you'll learn a lot more if you're asking questions, if you're one of the leaders. So I've always said, particularly to students and young professionals, I said, let's picture this. You're waiting for a bus and the bus stops, doors open. You have two choices. You can get on the bus and hope the driver takes you where you want to go, but you're not in control of that, right? The other option is you go to the front of the bus, you drive the bus, and you know exactly where you're going to go. How do you want to live your life? One is reactive and one is proactive. If you sit in the back in your life and let others make all the decisions, your life at best is a compromise. You're reacting to decisions made by other people. So your life is not optimal, really. The way your life would be optimal would be you go to the front of the bus, you be the leader, you know what the future is going to be. If you know what the future is going to be, you can optimize your personal life, your family's decisions, everything, because you know what's going to happen in 6 months and a year and 2 years and 3 years and 5 years, because you're part of the decision process. So that's the philosophy I've always had. And so with IEEE, 55 years now, I've always, from the very beginning, I'd offer to give a technical talk about work I was doing at 22, 23 years old, knowing in the audience there'd be people with 40 years experience in that same field that could ask me some very tough questions. But I've always wanted to challenge myself, and the tougher something is, the more you learn. So I'd always, present papers. I taught a 6-week course that I put together on the IEEE Red Book at like 24 years old. IEEE Red Book is how to design industrial power systems. And I used that book for my work, and I knew the book better than anybody, I think, in the world, because I was using it every day for work. So I put a 6-week course together for IEEE at like 24 years old. In 1987, I joined the Substations Committee of the IEEE Power and Energy Society. I started leading all the standards being written. in the early field of substation automation. I became a subcommittee chair over all the working groups. And then I became secretary, vice chair, and chair of the substations committee. I think it was like 450 of the world's experts in substations writing all the standards. And I was chair of the whole committee in 2001 and 2. IEEE Power and Energy Society has 17 technical committees that write about half of all of IEEE standards. And I chaired one of those technical committees, but also then I was asked to consider to be on the governing board of the entire Power and Energy Society. I agreed to do that for secretary twice, served for 4 years. And
Amazing.
then I ran for president-elect of the Power and Energy Society, won, and I was a president-elect. I was president in 2006 and 7. Today, that society is the second largest in IEEE with over 40,000 members, and I was the president. And then after that, I was on the IEEE board of directors. I ran for Division 7 director, served on the IEEE board. Then I was asked to be on the IEEE Standards Association board because of all the years of standards experience. And then to me, the epitome of giving back to those who've
Mm.
helped you and helping others is the IEEE Foundation. The foundation is the philanthropic part of IEEE, and the foundation has about 280, 290 funds that support all the awards, worships, all the things that IEEE is the largest professional technical organization in the world that just exceeded 500,000 members
Wow.
worldwide. And so think of all the things IEEE does that involve funds is all managed by the IEEE Foundation. So 6 years ago, I got on the foundation board. And they asked me to chair the 50th anniversary celebration campaign committee, which was a real honor for me to do that for 18 months. And then I was vice president of development for 2 years. And development for a foundation is fundraising and communications, two core things for any foundation. But then the board last year asked me if I would be president of the IEEE Foundation. So you're right. That was announced a week ago today on social media. And so this year is my first year as the IEEE Foundation president. So this is the ultimate in giving back. Now I'm
Mm.
president of the foundation, which touches the social impact of all the programs of IEEE touch so many people all over the world in a positive way. And it's truly, really a great way to, I mean, you're giving back in so many different ways across the entire world. It is really,
Absolutely.
it's really fulfilling, very fulfilling.
Absolutely. And I love and I respect deeply your passion about sharing your knowledge. I mean, you wrote 150 technical papers and articles and 5 books. So obviously, you want to give back and you want to share back. And absolutely, it's something that we should all learn to do and start to do if you're not. And for all the leaders, because really, this is what it's all about. It's really inspiring. And I want to come back to, I think, one of the root skills you have, which is always challenging yourself. And I want to definitely not to miss about your health and really like transforming your health is very difficult normally at any age. But you at 59 started to challenge yourself in that direction, which is, I can understand. Even today, I was almost canceling going to the gym in the morning. I'm like, oh, I started getting lazy. So it requires really discipline and motivation. So I wanna talk about this. What's your mindset? How do you motivate yourself for people who's listening to that, and why this has become important at 59?
That's a good question. You have phases in your life, right? As you get married, as you have kids, as you change jobs and volunteer activities like with IEEE. And, I was always very active in sports, competitive tennis, 12 years, competitive ping pong,
Yes.
handball, baseball, football, basketball. In San Francisco, while I was working during the day and going to Berkeley at night, I was played third base on a fast pitch softball team. I had games and I coached a flag football team. We had games on Sunday, a team of a league of 6 teams. I coached and played on one of those. So I'm always very active like that. But I've been a distinguished lecturer for the IEEE Power and Energy Society 27 years. And I go all over the world and teach courses and give talks. And I was, you can get into you get into different things like that in your life. And what happens is it takes away from it takes away from things like health, right? And how many of us, as we've gotten older, like in our 50s, let's say, well, I don't have time for that. I'm busy. I'm busy traveling, giving these distinguished lectures. I'm busy traveling for work. And I've traveled over 4.6 million miles just on Delta Airlines so far,
Unheard of.
and which is crazy. And so I was really into that and eating big meals late at night, which isn't healthy. So the year I was 58, my daughter was going to a boot camp in the morning. She had graduated from college. Dad, you need to come with me. So spring of that year, I went twice, and oh man, was I out of shape. I mean, the trainer was a wide receiver at Georgia Tech in 97, 98, 99, third round draft choice by the Chicago Bears in 2000 as a wide receiver. Played professional football with the Bears and the Falcons here in Atlanta, and he was the trainer. So he had a professional athlete. I mean, it was ideal. And I go to the two boot camps, and I don't go anymore. Even though it showed me how bad shape I was. That summer in June of Father's Day, my son and my daughter paid $200 to this trainer to get me to pay for 4 free sessions with the trainer. That was my Father's Day gift. So here both my kids and dad, you need to seriously consider this. And I felt I was too busy. I didn't have time, right?
Yeah.
I sat on it. And that fall, the trainer says to my daughter, "Do you want your money back? I don't think your dad's gonna use these things." Thank God, Hakeem, thank God, when I was 59th birthday, my birthday's right around Christmas time, so it was at the end of that year, I weighed myself. I weighed the highest weight of my life. That's what that really impacted me. I had
Yeah.
never weighed that much in my life, and I'm thinking, thank God, I thought seriously about, you know, your daughter has had you come to 2 boot camps. Your daughter and son have paid a lot of their own money for 4 free sessions with this trainer. He's a professional athlete. I mean, are you crazy? What are
It
you
could
doing?
happen.
And then it struck me, and then this was so important. I thought about, you can always get another job, but you have one body for your whole life. You can't get another body, and that's when it struck me. And I'm 59 now. I weigh the most of my life. What the heck are you doing? Your priorities are all screwed up. I mean, what should your health? You wanna if you wanna live a long life and have a good quality of life, you gotta invest now,
Yes.
and it's never too late to start. That's the other thing.
Yes.
Never too late to start. So at 59 years old, at my birthday, I talked to the trainer. I said, "Listen, not only do I wanna use these 4 free sessions, I'm committed. I'm totally
Nice.
committed. We'll start after New Year's, and I'm totally committed, and, one-on-one with this guy. 6 times a week, I start, 6 times a week, intense boot camps, an hour each time, including Saturday. And every day, or in the morning when I worked out,
Amazing.
I would show him how much sleep I got the night before, what I weighed that morning, and what I ate the day before. And he would review that with me every day, every day. And then intense workouts, you know. And over a period of time, I dropped 25 pounds, became lean, became very strong at at the what was left. And then so my daughter was with boot camp 5 weeks before Thanksgiving when I was 59. My son is working in New York. Hey, Dad, you and I are running a 5K race Thanksgiving morning, the Atlanta Track Club Turkey Trot. Right. And I said, Mark, my trainer and I are working with weights right now, not so much cardio. And I've never run a race before. He said, no, you're going to do it. And you'll have fun. We'll do it together. So we did that. That was, I was almost
Cool.
60. I was a month from my 60th birthday. And I did it really because I enjoy doing things with my kids, and my son wanted to do it with me. He's an electrical engineer, went to Georgia Tech. He joined General Electric 2 weeks after I started at GE. So we were both
Oh,
working at the same company. And he
nice.
was in New York. I was in Atlanta. So he comes home for Thanksgiving, and we run this race. We had fun. He starts with me at the start line. He's a tremendous runner, though. And about half mile into the race, he said, "Hey, Dad, I'll see you at the finish line if you don't mind. I'm going to go." So we finish, and guess what? I'm a month from my 60th birthday. I'm in the 55 to 59 age group, but I'm the oldest because I'm a month from 60, right? And they post the results. There are 55 men finished in my age group, and I was 20 seconds from a third place trophy. So, but I'm very competitive. What that showed me was I'm unexpectedly good at this distance running at a 5K distance. So part of me was excited and happy. The other part was really upset that 20 seconds is nothing in a 5K race. And so I told my trainer, who was a wide receiver, so he was good at sprinting, not distance running. But I said, "You and I are training for this race next year. Thanksgiving morning, um, I'll be a month from being 61, but you and I are going to train, and I'm going to win my age group. My age group will be the 60 to 64 age group next year, and I'm going to win it." I was so driven.
Nice.
So we did, ran it. Well, he ran with me, and I ran my personal best. I blew away everyone else in my age group. I ran a 23 at almost 61 years old, a 23:26 5K. I'm averaging 7 minutes, 15 seconds per mile. It's almost 61 years
Oh my
old.
God.
The second place man in my age group was over a minute slower than me. So
Wow. Wow.
I
Wow.
showed
This is
what
really
it showed,
inspiring.
but it showed me if I worked hard at something and trained for it.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah.
that was the question. Okay, I'm 20 seconds from a third place trophy. I really didn't know what I was doing. What if I put my mind to this and train and work with a professional athlete? What's my potential? What am I able to do? And that's what I was very excited to find out. And
This is
I
amazing.
found that I could really do well. So that gave us a bug. He and I ran 5K races for the next 5 or 6 years, and we would typically win our age groups. I'd always be in the top three, and many times win. It was just something you're unexpectedly good at, and you just want to keep doing it over and over again. In
Y
addition, in addition to boot camps 6 times a week, I was over
Yeah,
and
yeah,
above.
exactly. It's absolutely you need to be so motivated, so disciplined. And I love you said that it's never too late to start something that you want to change, you want to create an impact in your life. And I have to mention this: you are so competitive. That's already shows you're winning the K races and all the boot camps 6 days a week, all that. You're absolutely competitive. And I have to bring this to the discussion. This very competitive or so competitive is actually the reason why I think we are talking now. Because if I look back at when we met, I think 10 years ago, for people who knows this story, because I always share this story to everyone. It's very close to my heart, this story. So I was walking in the Marriott in Qatar, and I see you coming out from the room. You were a little bit frustrated. So I asked you, like, how can I help you? If there's anything wrong? I think there was something not working in the mic
But
or the stereo. I can't
you know
just.
what it was, Hakeem? It was the bathroom, and
It, wa-
we had taken a break from our board meetings, and I went in the bathroom, and I put my hands under the faucet, and the sensors. I tried all the faucets, and I was doing something wrong. I wanted to wash my hands, and I couldn't get any water to come out of any of the faucets, and I was really frustrated. And you were working for Marriott, right? And you were
yes.
there, and
And
you
I
looked.
stopped and I
He
asked you, like, how
he
can I help
said,
you? And then
"That's how we
I
met."
went,
Yeah.
you gave me your business card. So I looked at your name and I was like, whoa, you're for GE. It was a big account for us. So I went and checked your LinkedIn, and I really wanted to make you happy. I wanted to do something that makes you feel better. And then I look at your profile and I see ping pong competitor. I was like, okay, this is the trigger. And then we were connected, of course, to the biggest mall at that time in Qatar. So I went to the mall, I got these two ping pong rackets, and on the way back, I signed it from everyone met me from the hotel team, like the general manager, hotel manager, the revenue, everyone. And then I got this scarf with Qatar, and I kept it in your room. And then I found the second day, I went early to the hotel, and the general manager calls me to his office, like, Hakim, come to me right now. I was like, what did I do? And I went to his room, and he was like, oh, what, you did this because you spoke to him or something. So from that moment, competitive, so competitive is what brought us together. So thank you for that. It was
I'll
really
never forget after the afternoon of meetings, we go to our room to drop our computer bags off and then go to a group dinner, right? And I go into my room, drop my bag off, and there on the bed is a gift from you. And it was a perfect gift. I played a lot of competitive ping pong, and it was really nice ping pong paddles and balls and a jacket, a cover that the paddle came in, and a beautiful note, signatures, card. And I have very high status at Marriott. So when I went into the executive lounge, the VIP lounge, I told everyone from Marriott working in the lounge, okay, what had happened. And I said how appreciative I was. And I think that's how word got around, right?
yes,
With everyone working at the
yes,
Marriott.
I think
The
so.
nice
I think so.
the
Thank you
nice
for
thing
that.
the nice thing you had done for me. I'll never forget it.
Thank you for
Yeah.
that. Wow, we can talk forever. I didn't even pay attention to the time. Really, I can learn so much from you. It has been a true honor, definitely, to have you on the show and the value that you bring. My very last question, and it's important to my heart and to the show. What does level up means to you?
Live it. Yeah. That's really good. For me, I spend probably 2, 3 hours every day, sometimes 4 hours with students and young professionals to help them be successful themselves. So to me, live it up. I mean, obviously, live it up to me from a family point of view would be playing with my grandchildren. I have 4 grandchildren, 2 in Atlanta and 2 in Florida, from a freshman in high school to a 6-month-old baby. So a YA. And I
Nice,
love living up to me a dream. My dream time is spending time with them and just playing with
amazing.
them. But in addition to that is helping a young person achieve a goal that they don't think they can achieve themselves, and be with with being inspired, opening some doors, connecting with the right people, giving them the right decisions and experience, and then seeing them achieve that goal and seeing how happy they are, how confident they are. And they look at you and say, John, I don't think I could have ever done this without your help. That's living it up,
And you
and
absolutely did level me up today. So thank you so much for that. And before we close, I want to give a big shout out to your son and daughter to push you coming to back to health and do that. So really great. Honor to be having this discussion and also to be in touch with you all these years. I will stay, of course, connected. I will share your information on the link so people can reach out to you and follow your journey as well. But really thank you for your time today, John.
so inspiring to talk with you, Hakim. Really enjoy it. And if we can have an impact on other people, it's all worthwhile. We all want to help each other all be
Yeah.
successful. So
And that's
that's what
definitely the
that's
goal of my show.
yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so
Well,
much.
thanks.
Wish you all the
Thank you,
best
Hakim.
today and stay in touch.
Thank you again.
Thank you, John.
Every conversation can and will elevate you. It's where real talk meets real growth. After